Alright, picture this. You've been stuck at work on a grueling business trip for 10 long years. You finally wrap up the biggest project of your life, destroying the city of Troy using a giant wooden stealth horse. And all you want to do is go home, see your family, and chill out. That was Odysseus. He was the king of Ithaca, absolute genius strategist, and the guy who essentially won the Trojan War. Troy is burned to the ground, and Ithaca is only about a 3-week boat ride across the Aegean Sea. Simple, right? A quick little direct flight home. Except Odysseus' 3-week trip ended up taking 10 entire years. Why? Because instead of just setting his GPS and sailing straight back, Odysseus and his crew proceeded to make literally every single bad decision humanly possible, while personally infuriating every deity on Mount Olympus. I mean, it is genuinely the most chaotic, disaster-filled commute in human history. So grab a drink, because we are breaking down how one guy turned a quick boat ride into a decade-long survival horror game. The trouble started almost immediately. Odysseus lands on an island for supplies, stumbles into a giant cave, and meets a one-eyed giant named Polyphemus, who happens to be the son of Poseidon, god of the sea. Instead of quietly sneaking out, Odysseus tricks the Cyclops, blinds him with a wooden stake, and escapes. Now, if you're a genius, this is where you shut your mouth and sail away. But Odysseus had a massive ego. As his ship pulled away, he literally yelled back, "Hey, if anyone asks who blinded you, tell him it was Odysseus, king of Ithaca." The Cyclops immediately calls his dad Poseidon, who goes, "Oh really?" and vows to make Odysseus' ocean voyage an absolute nightmare. Despite Poseidon being furious, the wind god Aeolus actually tries to help Odysseus out. He gives him a magical leather bag containing all the stormy winds of the world, keeping the seas calm. All Odysseus has to do was keep the bag closed until they reached home. Well, you guess what happens here, right? They get so close to home that Odysseus can literally see the beach bonfires of Ithaca. But while Odysseus is taking a quick nap, his crew starts whispering. "He's hiding the treasure in the bag, isn't he?" They open it. Instantly, a monstrous hurricane explodes out of the bag, blowing their ship thousands of miles back into unknown, monster-infested waters. From that point on, Odysseus' journey turns into a literal boss rush video game. First, they run into a nation of cannibal giants called Laestrygonians, who hurl giant boulders at their fleet, sinking 11 of Odysseus' 12 ships in about 5 minutes. Then they land on the island of Circe, a witch who casually turns half his remaining crew into literal pigs. Just kidding, of course. Odysseus has to stay there for a whole year just to convince her to turn his bros back into humans. Next up, the Sirens. Their magic songs entice sailors to crash into the rocks. Odysseus handles this by plugging his crew's ears with beeswax. But because he's a total thrill seeker, he has his men tie him tightly to the ship's mast so he can listen to the music without jumping overboard. He is screaming at them to untie him the whole time, but his crew just keeps rowing. Right after that, he has to navigate a narrow strait between Scylla, a terrifying 6-headed sea monster, and Charybdis, a giant ocean whirlpool that swallows entire ships. Odysseus calculates the math and decides, look, if we go near the whirlpool, everyone dies. If we go near Scylla, only 6 guys get eaten. So he intentionally sacrifices 6 of his men to keep the ship moving. Absolute ruthless leadership. Eventually, after his crew eats the sacred cattle of the sun god Apollo, which gets their last remaining ship struck by lightning, every single one of Odysseus' men dies. Odysseus spends 7 years trapped on the Paradise Island with a nymph named Calypso, who refuses to let him leave until the gods finally step in and force her hand. 10 years after the war ended, 20 years after he originally left home, Odysseus finally washes ashore on Ithaca. But the drama isn't over. Back at his palace, dozens of arrogant noblemen have moved into his house, eating his food, drinking his wine, and trying to force his wife Penelope to marry one of them so they can steal his kingdom. Odysseus disguises himself as an old beggar, sneaks into his own palace, and waits for the right moment. Penelope sets up a contest. Whoever can string Odysseus' old hunting bow and shoot an arrow through 12 axe handles gets her hand in marriage. None of the suitors can even bend the bow. The old beggar steps up, effortlessly strings the massive bow, shoots the arrow straight through all 12 axe handles, and then reveals who he really is. Odysseus and his son lock the palace doors and proceed to clean house in one of the most brutal revenge scenes in classical literature. After 20 long years of war, monsters, sea gods, and terrible decision-making, Odysseus finally gets to sit on his throne, hug his family, and retire. So next time your flight gets delayed or traffic is backed up on the highway, just remember, at least you didn't accidentally piss off Poseidon and spend 10 years dodging 6-headed sea monsters.